Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm so excited for this video because in this video, we're going to be talking about books, we're going to be talking about reading, journaling, fountain pens, and other fun reading accessories. If you like any of those things, then you are my person. Anyways, this is my reading journal and I have been obsessed with this thing for the past month or so. And this is the first time that I've actually gotten a reading journal to work for me and my brain and the way I read. I'm gonna move all of this out of the way and we will talk about this later. So the notebook that I'm using for my reading journal is the Stalogy notebook. I think this is the A5 size and it's just their standard notebook. It's not their 365-day planner thing, it's just a dot grid notebook. I do have mixed feelings about Stalogy notebooks. I am enjoying this as my reading journal. I didn't want anything that was like super high quality paper or anything. I feel like this is like a mid-tier notebook and it's great for specific journaling prompts like this, but if you're looking for something that is like top tier quality, this might not be the best notebook for you. It is a rather thin paper, so there is a little bit of ghosting or shadowing like this, so you can see the writing on the other side of the page. I honestly really don't mind that, and I think it adds a lot of character to the pages. There is unfortunately a little bit of bleeding sometimes. I don't know if you can see. Like just like little blobs like this will sometimes bleed through. It's not a big issue to the point where I wouldn't recommend this notebook, but just like something to keep in mind. My biggest gripe with this notebook though is that the dots are extremely light. Like, I don't know if you can see, it's a very, very light gray. During the daytime, it's totally fine, but honestly, like I do a lot of my reading right before bed because that's the only time I have to read. So it gets a little bit difficult, especially because I have very poor eyesight, even with glasses. It's very straining for me to see the dots. So that is an issue that I've realized with Stalogy notebooks. Other than that, I, again, am really enjoying this notebook. And in fact, I think after I finish this one, hopefully, I will continue using Stalogy notebooks as my reading journal. For some reason, like it just works really well for me. So yeah, that is all about the notebook. As you can see, I have also decorated the cover with a bunch of emoji vinyls. There are 2 spots left. Not too sure what I want to put there, but I'm sure I will come up with something. So there's that. I haven't done anything on the inner cover pages, but maybe I should. We will see. Here I put down this like line of floral stickers from 2 Little Bees. I thought it was just a nice way to start off the notebook, I guess. And then this is the first page. I just put down a reading emoji and I am using this like wacky bubble lettering font, and this is like a constant throughout the journal. And this is where I am just keeping track of books that I've finished and giving a rating for them. So I have a column for the title as well as the star rating, and I'm just very simply drawing in little stars, and the ones that I haven't filled in I'm still currently reading, so I don't have a rating for them yet. So that is basically it for the first page, nothing too exciting. And then we're diving into the actual reading journal portion. So I'm really sorry if this is going to be a letdown, but my system of journaling really is extremely simple, and this video could be explained in honestly like a minute. But basically, whenever I start a new book, I just take my ruler as well as a pencil and I draw a margin on the first page. The only fun thing that I really have is this rating sticker from my shop. It's a rectangular sticker with a blank book as well as an emoji and 5 empty stars. I just very simply doodle the cover, and then in the shaded area I typically write the title of the book as well as the number of pages, and then when I'm done with the book I will fill in these stars. And typically I just like shade in the number of stars that I would give the book, but the reason why the last one's black is because I initially gave it 5 stars and then I changed my mind to 4 stars, so I just removed one of the stars by blacking it out. In the margins I write down just like any, I guess, preliminary information. So Dead Wake by Eric Larson was the February book club at my local library. So I just wrote that it was for the February book club. And for all of the books, I write down when I started the book and when I finished the book. And following that, I make a section for preliminary information. And I found this to be an absolute game changer for me and my brain. So I find that especially with like just personally, it takes me a long time to actually get involved in the book. Like for example, I have a hard time associating a character's name with their role in the book, and it just gets very hard to follow. Also, like setting wise, like I have a hard time remembering the time period a book is in, like especially if it's a historical book. So things like this, I find that especially when I read the first few chapters, I write down all of the key facts from the story. It could be like real facts, especially if it's a nonfiction book, or if it's a fiction book, the facts are like who the characters are, where the setting is, etc. And I find that by writing down the preliminary information, I retain these facts a lot better, and it lets me get into the book a lot quicker and actually remember these information. And two, if I just happen to forget who a certain character is, I can quickly refer to the preliminary information, and I'm less likely to just like move on without fully understanding the context. I really hope this made sense. But yeah, this like preliminary information section has been, I think, the biggest game changer in terms of reading in the past few months. If you also have trouble getting to stories and following a story, especially in the beginning, I really recommend trying this out. Okay, so that is the sidebar that I start off every single book with. And then moving on, the rest is honestly just like a continuous stream. I don't have dedicated sections for vocab. I don't have dedicated sections for, character development or research or anything like that. I just write it all down one after the other. In terms of, for example, new vocabulary, I write them down just because I think it's cool. And maybe if it's like a good enough word, then I will remember it in the future and integrate it into my own vocabulary. But it's very unlikely for me, from past experience, to have, this entire list of new vocab that I encounter in my readings and then do like flashcards and try to memorize them. And I found that just like having an entire dedicated section to vocab was completely unnecessary, and it was just a little bit too much structure for me, if that makes any sense. So these days when I encounter a new vocab word, I will search it up, and if it's a word that I find really cool and I want to maybe refer back to in the future, I will just like write it down, but I'm not like pressuring myself to memorize these words. If I feel like I need a little bit more context, I will also do a little bit of searching on the internet. For example, I'm very familiar with World War II, but not so much with World War I. So I was just like making a little mind map, I guess, of like who the allies were and who the Central Powers were, just so that I got a little bit more historical context while reading this book. I will also write down my immediate thoughts while reading the book. Like, for example, I read something jarring over here. And then also quotations, definitely, I write it down as well. So yeah, essentially there is no organization. My vocab, my research, my thoughts, my quotations that I want to keep, it's all on this one page. And for someone who loves organization, this is honestly a little bit shocking to my system, but I realize that realistically, I'm likely never going to come back and fully read these pages. It's more so something that I'm doing for myself now. Maybe in the future I will leaf through my reading journals, but I'm not really going to be like studying what I wrote. So I feel like it's just very unnecessary for me personally to have a very systematic and organized entry. So yeah, this just like continued on, and sometimes I will make little doodles. I would add washi tapes, but it's not something that I always do. It's just whenever I feel like it. The story behind this is I was reading right after showering, and just a giant droplet of water fell from my hair onto here. So there is that. So I finished Dead Wake, and then I read Frankenstein afterwards. This wasn't part of a book club, it was just a personal read. So I just started off with writing down the start and finish date. And again, the preliminary information. Here I was making a little map of the character relationships because I was having a hard time following. And so that's just for me to reference. I really enjoyed reading Frankenstein, and as you can see, I had a lot of thoughts about it. Also, like, if I make an error or something, I will just cross it off. Not a big problem. Currently, I'm reading Lust for Life, so this is pretty empty, and I left 2 pages here because I have a lot of thoughts about this book, even though I'm only like 2 chapters in, so I feel like I need a lot more space. And if I end up needing more space than these 2 blank pages, then I can just like tip in an extra page, not a problem. A book that I'm currently reading also is People We Meet on Vacation. This is the book that I have here. I have, I think, about 60 pages left, and this is a book for our March book club, and honestly, I am not enjoying this book very much, but I'm sticking with it because I definitely want to contribute to the book club conversation. But yeah, I think this little space is enough for me to finish off my thoughts. I also read Chess Story, which is a very short novella. This was an excellent read, and I finished it within a day. So yeah, there wasn't much preliminary information that I needed because it was just such a short book and it was really easy to get into. And that is basically it. Again, I started this reading journal maybe 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, so it's not a lot, but I definitely see myself continuing because it has honestly been really great for my mental health. To be honest, like, it's something that I look forward to filling out. But something else, we're not done. I also do some journaling from the back. So this is a little like tip that I have for you, I guess. If you have like 2 distinct sections and you're not sure like how much space you need, my tip is to start from the front and the back. So the back has all of my like fun trackers and stuff. Also, I started off with the January subscription washi and the bonus vinyl, which I thought was so cute. But anyways, to start from the back, I have a section for books that I want to read, and very simply, I just write down the title as well as the author, and then the general genre, so fiction, mystery, classics, nonfiction, history, etc. I haven't copied down my entire books to read list because this is a rather recent addition to my book journal, but I have a feeling it'll be very long, so I'm leaving 2 more blank pages just for my books to read list. So there's that. Another spread that I'm doing are memorable things, and these are quotations from books that I just absolutely adore. And even though I wrote them down in my actual book journaling pages, obviously it gets kind of lost amidst all of my other thoughts and readings. And so if it's something that really speaks to me and I want to look at it over and over again and remember it in the future, then this is where I plan to put it. And I'm being very selective about the quotations that I put down. So far, I just have this one quotation from Frankenstein, which I just absolutely love. So you can pause and read that. So that is all I have from the back, but if I do think of like other fun book-related spread ideas, I can just like continue over here. And we don't run into the issue where I have to like guess how many pages I want to dedicate to these fun spreads at the beginning. And then I guess the idea is that eventually the pages from the front and the back will meet up, and that is when the reading journal will be complete. Okay, so I want to also quickly talk about some stationery and basically the supplies that I've been using. So for all of the thicker, bolder titles, I'm just using the Tombow fudenosuke brush pen in the hard tip. And then for the actual writing, most of it is done with the TWSBI Eco, and this is the fine tip. And inside I have Waterman Black. It's a very boring but reliable combo. I prefer writing with very dark colors, such as black, just because it's more practical for me. But I've also been using my Sailor. This is the medium nib, and currently I have it inked up with Black Violet from Robert Oster. I am currently using this for my journaling pages with Lust for Life. So here I wrote, using a different pen now. And you can barely tell it's like not black, but yeah, it's actually called Black Violet, and it has the tiniest hint of violet, and I think that is right up my alley. I do have a lot of fun bright fountain pen inks, but for more practical writing I definitely prefer darker colors like this. I also use a ruler and pencil to make my margins. And another recent favorite that I have is this thing, which I don't know if I can fit under my tripod. So this is called Reader. You can see it over here. It is basically a book stand, and I love this thing so much. I got it maybe a week ago, and again, it's been a game changer for my reading. Sometimes I will borrow ebooks from the library and read it on Libby, which isn't a problem, but other times I obviously have physical books to read. And an issue that I have, actually two issues. One is that I don't have a lot of space on my desk, so it's hard to have both a book open and my reading journal open and all of the other stuff on my desk. And the second problem is that I tend to have my book open like this, and it really strains my neck. I can like hold it out in front of me, but then my wrists start hurting after a while, and it's just very uncomfortable, especially if I'm trying to journal at the same time. And it got to a point where I just couldn't read anymore of physical books because my neck was hurting so badly. So this has been so helpful because A, it saves a lot of space, and B, I can just like look up while reading and journaling, and it's amazing. So if you have a similar issue as me, I would definitely recommend looking into a book stand like this one. So anyways, this video was just an entire video of me chatting, but as you can see, I'm very passionate about books and reading and fountain pens and journaling and all of that. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Bye!